Caledonia police officers are under investigation after being caught on the camera appearing to plant drugs in a black man's car during a traffic stop.
Hey, bro, what's that?
What's what?
That you just threw in here.
What word?
I got you on camera, bro.
I got you on camera. We're all good.
Hey, bro, you just threw that in here.
Yeah.
The man in the video, who goes by Glock Boy Savu on Facebook, shot and posted the now viral 16-second video on Facebook. He also posted this video confirming it was him watching it all happen.
Kid Savo, local rapper from Racine, Wisconsin. I am okay. I'm not locked up. I was detained for a little while, and they talk about investigation. I am the guy that you see going all over the internet, surfing the internet with the police trying to throw the baggie in my car. I am okay. I did not get arrested, but I am taking legal action. I have contacted a lawyer due to the weekend. It's not going as fast as supposed to. The process is going a little slow. I have sent the video to news articles and everything.
Well, after the video went viral, the Caledonia Police Department launched an investigation, and Police Chief Christopher Bosch posted this statement on Facebook. Earlier today, the Caledonia Police Department was made aware of a cell phone video that is circulating social media platforms depicting the actions of a Caledonia police officer. We were able to locate the call for service associated with the cell phone video. The Caledonia Police Department is conducting a comprehensive internal review of the incident. All officers assigned to patrol duties are equipped with body-worn cameras, and preliminary information indicates the officers on scene of this incident all had their body-worn cameras activated. In addition, marked Caledonia police patrol vehicles are equipped with dashboard-mounted cameras as part of the internal investigation. We will be reviewing those videos. We will also need to gather information from all officers who were present. The complete review will take some time, but I have reviewed portions of the body-worn camera video. Please keep in mind that the cell phone video that is circulating depicts only a small portion of the entire encounter, whereas all available video may provide more context. The Caledonia Police Department believes strongly in transparency. Therefore, all body-worn camera video will be made available within the coming days. Please be patient, as there's a lot of information to review. Please know that we are taking these matters very seriously. Christopher Bosch, Chief of Police. Now, folks, here's the body cam video of the officer who tossed the plastic bag in the back seat.
I got specks of green. You're good to search if you need to. Corner cut. What word?
I got you on camera, bro.
I got you on camera. We're all good.
Hey, bro, you just threw that in here.
Yeah, because it was in his pocket, and I don't want to hold on to it. It's on their body cam that they took it off of him, so.
You just threw that in here, bro. I got you on camera, man.
I'm telling you where it came from, so.
I got you on camera, bro.
It's an empty baggie at the moment, too, so. Okay, buddy.
So what you saw there is, again, the body camera footage of the officer throwing the baggie on. Now, if you look at that video, Reecie, that gives a different perspective, because we see in the video where he goes to the other officer, he hands him something, and then he tosses it and says, "I don't want to hold it." Now, I don't understand why that was the case, why he said, "I don't want to hold it," because that's why you have evidence bags. You could, but this is precisely why body camera footage is important. This is why officers should, every police department, every law enforcement, I don't care if it's a school board, I don't care if it's a school district, county, whatever, should have body cameras, because if somebody says, "Hey, this guy planted drugs," and the officer's body camera shows, "No, that's not what happened," that's why you have the cameras. If you have to, I'm sorry, we simply cannot just accept the word of these officers anymore. You got to have the footage.
Yeah, here's the problem I'm trying to understand is he said it was an empty baggie. So why not? He said he didn't want to hold it, but he wasn't holding it. He asked from the other officer that for the bag. Second thing is, okay, if you have an empty bag, then why don't you just bring it to the attention of the passenger? Why don't you just say, "Hey, look, here, we found this in the car. It's empty. Just do something with it." I mean, it looks suspicious. Now, I get it. At first, I was like, I don't know. But I'm not understanding here why this officer decided to do what he did. He looks suspicious as hell, bro, Roland. He just looks suspicious as hell. But here's the big thing about this whole situation. This is exactly the reason why black folks get anxiety when we come around police officers, because we don't know what's going to happen. I often hear from police officers, "Well, I was always, I'm feeling like my life was threatened, my life was in danger." How do you think we feel when you pull us over? And I mean, it doesn't matter. And when you have a police officer who is throwing stuff into your car that could potentially incriminate you for something, and he does it so nonchalant, like, "What? What? Oh, I got you on camera. Well, I got you on camera. I didn't want my partner to hold it." I mean, it's just so nonchalant. But it's those type of moments that can either get us locked up or killed. And we just can't risk those type of moments anymore. I'm glad that they want to do an investigation. But just the simple fact that the officer made a judgment call like that, he should be dismissed from the force.
Absolutely.
Juliana, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I think the brother's absolutely right. This is ridiculous. First of all, there are evidence bags. There are all kind of reasons that he did not have to throw that bag in that man's car. All kind of reasons. Who knows what would have happened had the gentleman who was driving not said, "I got you on tape." You don't know what kind of trace evidence there was in that bag and where the trace evidence came from.
Come on, Doc.
This is an absurdity. It is a total absurdity, and it's enough. I mean, this is why, forgive me, brother, if I pronounce your name wrong. Is it Reecie?
Yes, Reecie.
Reecie, this is why you were so animated about this, because black people, black men, and especially young black people, encounter this crap all the GD time. And these folks are making judgment calls. They're doing what they feel like. They have no sense of accountability. That police chief is a wuss, a WUSS wuss. I mean, this, we go investigate. He ought to be able to say this was out of order, because it was out of order. Now, whether it's dismissal, suspension, take your behind home for a few days, I don't know. But he was doing Mr. Bojangles around that. And meanwhile, this young black man frankly, was terrorized.
Congo.
It's really unfortunate because when you look at that body cam video, it looked like 2 or 3 police officers touched that before it went into the back of the seat. And so we talk about simple conversations about how to handle evidence, right? And you know, I have 3 children. My oldest are 15 and 12, and they know if we're getting pulled over to pull out the video cameras because of things like this. You see the brother in the front seat, the officer's probably thinking he's just texting, but we have to make sure that we're recording. And I do believe that the fact that he was recording is the only reason he wasn't arrested. And we see this so many times across the country. I'm sure we all remember a case a couple of years ago where officers in Baltimore were carrying different types of things that they could plant at scenes to arrest people. And so it's about time that people stop having to wait for these video camera footage to start believing that these are things that happen to us every single day, and we need real accountability. And those officers definitely need to be investigated in some way, shape, or form, because if they're handling things like this, whether they were actually planting stuff or they're just transferring stuff between them, we can guarantee that they're doing this on a regular basis. And many of us have probably got screwed over because of it. So I'm glad these brothers are safe, but it can't stop here.
Folks, back to that Roland Mark Uncultured video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
Here in Texas, a viral video of the arrest of an 18-year-old Black woman is causing outrage in Forney, Texas, about 210 miles northeast of Austin, where we are now 20 miles east of Dallas, folks. So here's the deal. The police get a call about someone darting into traffic. The officer, identified as Connor Martin, arrives on the scene, and Nakia Trigg was who he saw walking down the residential street. Then this happened.
Why you don't have to ever hear her? She was like, okay?
You need to back up. You need to back up. Do not touch me. Back up. Back up.
Shut up. Just calm down. Calm down. Okay, hold on.
You can talk to her. You cannot touch me.
But you can get up. You don't have to do her like this.
She's trying to jump in front of me.
No, she is not. Please, calm down. Kaya, calm down. Kaya, calm down. Just calm down, okay? Calm down.
Just let her get up,
Please.
You don't have to sit on her like that.
Kaya, calm down. Kaya, just calm down.
Okay.
Just calm down.
Just breathe, Kaya.
Calm
Just
down.
breathe.
I got her, please. She's, what, y'all? It's on her. Where are y'all? It's 102 degrees out here. Okay, breathe. She cannot breathe.
She's spitting up,
I don't even fucking care. What are you doing? No.
She hasn't done anything.
No.
We'll turn her over if y'all back up.
Okay. But what are you going to turn her over for and cover her? She has not done anything.
Please let her go.
She's literally just walking.
Hush.
Bro,
Are you pissing me off?
she cannot stop. Bro.
Stop it. Okay.
We got the report. She's
Look at her mouth. Okay.
Okay, listen.
Okay.
If we can restrain her, we'll stand her up and she's fine, okay?
Okay, Mama.
She's suicidal. Okay. Okay, well, let us get her restrained and safe. Everybody will stop.
Literally foaming from her mouth. She's literally foaming from her mouth.
Okay, can you just let her up? Why does she need handcuffs?
Wait.
She didn't do anything.
If she's running in front of traffic,
She's not her mother. She's not going to go anywhere.
She cannot breathe.
Just stand back.
roll over. Rolling over.
Why are y'all about to handcuff her?
Just hold on a
She
second.
has not done anything. And then you are on her all up. I need your fucking badge number and your name. Record his fucking shit.
Please do. Calm down, Kaya.
Just calm down. Everything's okay.
It's easy for her. Like, sugar.
He know that. He didn't give a fuck.
Hold on. If y'all hold on.
Please put that camera back on, up here on your chest.
It was never on you in the first place. Why was your camera not on you while you were on my dad? We finna report all that. Why was your all of that? You had to report all of that.
Please do. We're gonna report all of that. You're fine.
Where's his shoes?
Can you hold this?
You didn't have any whenever I found it.
Here.
I'm not talking to you. Stop.
Let go.
You got that. Jay. Get out. It's all right, Jay. It's all right. It's all right. It's gonna get handled. It's gonna get handled for sure.
This is crazy, boy.
It's gonna get handled for sure.
Mama, stay calm. Mama, stay calm. Stay calm.
When all y'all hear these cameras was
Kaya, stay calm.
facing dead.
Stay calm, Kaya.
All I did was ask him, like my daughter couldn't breathe, she was throwing me at the mat.
It's all right. I got it all on video. I got it all on video.
Please do not put him in the car with her. Please don't. Don't put either one of them in the car with her. Ma'am, please get back, please.
Miss, come back. Come back. Come back.
Did you get my?
All I did was ask you to listen to.
I got it.
So Trigg was taken to the hospital. Trigg was taken to the hospital for a mental evaluation. Her mother, Anthony Ray, was arrested and charged with assault of a public servant and interference with public duties. She has been released on bond. Kaufman County Sheriff's Office is aware of the video and investigating the incident. That right there, Faraji, is a perfect example of what happens when an officer makes the right call as to how you engage. One, clearly this is why you need mental health professionals dealing with a lot of these cases. Two, I have never seen a police officer lay his entire body on a woman to restrain her. I have never seen that in my life. Third point, you had 3 other people there who clearly knew the woman. That's where you as the officer pull them in to assist you in keeping things calm. This woman had stuff foaming out of her mouth. And I remember the case after George Floyd when police were detaining someone and he was sort of resisting, and 3 other black people came along and said, hey, they helped the officer calm the brother down. They talked to the brother to relax. They helped him along. That's what happened. That's where cops have to make better decisions.
I'm gonna be honest with you, brother Roland. I couldn't. It's heartbreaking to watch that video. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I've never seen a move like that. The man was physically on top of the woman, on this young girl and me. And I mean, if you see foam coming out the mouth, and you're in 100-degree weather, wouldn't you think maybe I should just kind of change my restraining tactic here? I mean, you're physically on top of the woman. You got people around you. This is a dumbass officer. It's like we want to try to politic our way out of certain things. We want to try to rationalize our way out of things. But this is just piss poor judgment. And this is a terrible call. It was a terrible call. And I mean, then you get with the mother and the family members and the whole thing. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of simple calls that can be handled. You and I know that certain things can be handled in one way. It can go left in 30 seconds or less.
Yep. Reecie?
Ooh, Chad, I already said 3 F words, so I'm going to try to restrain myself here. But what we saw was sexual assault, number 1. Number 2 is demonic. Okay? It's savagery. And it's intentional. The point was not to detain her for any kind of threat. The point was to, number 1, get his rocks off. Like I said, sexual assault. And number 2, to dehumanize her. And this is the problem. We can't appeal to white supremacists to see our humanity because they don't see that. Why was that necessary when if she was the person that was running through traffic, who gives a damn? That was an F word. Who gives a damn? What difference does that really make? Does that warrant violating her? Does that warrant assaulting her? Does that warrant brutalizing her in her completely vulnerable, traumatized state, adding to the trauma? If you see a person who is dealing with something, why do you exacerbate that trauma but for the fact that you are demonic? That you get your rocks off of doing that off of violating that woman. And then to your point, Roland, clearly these people around the young girl knew her. Clearly they were trying to calm her down. And Dr. Carr, I'm sure you'll say this, but you made the point when we had this discussion last year, I believe, that it's unfortunate that we have to essentially be accomplices to what the police are doing when they're already violating your rights. They're already breaking the law, but yet we have to help them so that they don't further brutalize us. It's disgusting. It's enraging. I hope that this woman and her mother get the legal counsel that they need to beat these charges, because they never, ever, ever admit they're wrong, or if they do, they quietly drop the charges. And she's in real legal jeopardy now, and she's out on bond, which means that there was money involved in the situation. So it's further harm done to this family. And like the mother said, I don't know if you guys heard it, why weren't you recording? And to the black man that walked up into that situation and helped those devils brutalize these two black women, shame on you, because we saw on that January 6th commission with the Capitol Police, it's not the same, but we saw how they testified to how they were attacked with racist abuse more than anything. They were fighting two wars. There's no back the blue when you're black. And so what he should have done in that moment is back these black women and de-escalate. And we need people to respect the humanity and the mental health state of people instead of violating them and taking advantage of them, which is what we saw.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. Only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. This is the story you can make this possible. The Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback and second-year coach demanded that reporters shouldn't call him by his first name before walking out of a SWAC Media Day event at the Sheraton in Birmingham on Tuesday. You don't call Nick Saban Nick, don't call me Dion. Sanders told Nick Suss from the Clarion Ledger, if you call Nick Saban Nick, you'll get cussed out on the spot, so don't do that to me. Treat me like Nick. Then Suss was quoted in the, he was quoted here as saying, when I interview people, I call them by their first name, whether it's someone I've been working with for years or someone I'm talking to for the first time. This is true of the coaches and players on the Ole Miss beat, the coaches and players at Mississippi State and Southern Miss when I help out covering their teams. And as recently as January, even Sanders too. Suss says Suss has referred to Saban and the football coach of his Ole Miss beat, Lane Kiffin, by their first names, along with the Bulldogs national championship baseball coach Chris Lemonis. What do y'all make of Dion saying, don't you call me Dion, you call me Mr. Sanders if you just met me?
Put some respect on that man's name. He asked you once. I mean, don't make him ask you twice. He'll walk out, right?
Well, and that's the deal. I mean, Teresa, here's the deal. If the guy says, don't call me by my first name, call me Mr. Sanders, and then you do it a second time, he gonna walk the hell out.
I mean, he gave you a directive, and I think if that journalist really wanted to ensure that he was getting cooperation and an answer for his story, then he should have abided, not go through the history of, well, I called Nick, and we don't need all that. So just call him by his first name. I mean, call him by his last name.
Mustafa, is Dion bringing too much drama?
Dion knows how to work the media. Dion knows there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I totally get that there is a history with white folks, you know, in many instances calling us by our first names or other names that they've used. But at the same time, I also understand the marketing game. And I just hope he has a winning season.
That is too funny. And so that was, I did see this one tweet where somebody said, if you're talking about the SWAC in July, Dion is winning. Back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans distributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, y'all. You know what time it is?
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, Carl.
Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Ooh, some white folks just cannot stay out of black folks' business. This black woman was trying to deliver goods to a customer when a white woman thought it was a drug deal. Yeah. Watch this.
I was just giving you a heads up.
Ma'am, you see what this is? Hair extension.
Why are you doing it here?
Because I can. It's a public park. It's a public park. Do you own the park? Can people pick up here? It's just a pickup.
Okay, it looks like a drug deal.
I don't care what it looks like. Call the police. I pay $50,000 in taxes. I pay my mortgage.
So do it at your house.
Lady,
If that's your house, do it at your house.
If there's a problem, tell someone.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was trying to give you a heads up.
Give a heads up.
Okay, that's good.
Here, girl.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. For the hair services.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, love.
Pop in if you need anything else.
I will.
Oh.
Thank you.
Just giving you a heads up. It looks like a drug deal. People don't go around every day. People parking there.
I'm telling you, you don't see where this
You know what? I'm just saying.
I have a legit business. I pay $50,000 in taxes. I'm a normal person.
And people are talking about the girl on the bike who's stealing drugs.
Tell someone.
I don't want to involve police on people.
What do you want me to do? Stop doing my business?
Well, I would like you to not do it here.
Ma'am, this is...
I'm aware it's a public park.
I'm just saying.
Okay, and if they call the police on you, I tried.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, I tried. Okay, I tried.
Thank you.
Lord, these folks just will not leave. How the hell are you going to tell somebody what she should be doing? What? McCongo, go ahead.
Anybody who grew up in the hood or been around the hood or watched a damn movie, rule number one, you don't confront a drug dealer. First of all, if you think somebody's stealing drugs, I'm not going to be the one to step to them. You know what I'm saying? Yo, these cats are so emboldened. It's just like, it's ridiculous. I'm just looking out. It's like if she was, she'd have got popped. I mean, seriously, these guys will look for any opportunity because they know they're being, videotaped now. And so they're going to come up with anything to try to make themselves look innocent because they know they're about to be viewed 5-10 million times. And they're going to be the next person in this Karen video. And so folks really just got to just start minding their business and don't approach any suspected drug dealers. Rule number 1.
Bottom line is here, my position. Get the hell out of my face. I ain't explaining a damn thing to this woman. I'd be like, get the hell out of my face. I'm serious. I'm not trying to explain jack to these Karens. I don't need to justify a damn thing to you. Your ass want to call the cops? Walk your punk ass on and call the cops.
I'm just cracking up because I don't even. The rule of Congo should not be don't approach black people. We don't want to talk to you.
There you go.
Just go away and find yourself. We don't want to talk to you. If you feel like you need to call the police, call them, and then your behind is going to get arrested. Because there should be a law that says when you empower the police to harass black people, you go into jail. Do not pass go. I mean, that was just ridiculous. This woman, and she's standing on her privilege. She's standing on her privilege. Sister Girl gave her far more time than I would have given her. And far more courtesy, because there would have been a whole lot of witches and MFs coming out of my mouth.
Absolutely, Faraji. I need laws passed. If these Karens call a cop and they show up and it's some BS, they should cuff their ass and take them right to jail.
There you go.
Let me tell you something. First and foremost, bro, Roland, I'm still tripping off of the caption, assuming Annie. That's a new title. No, real talk, the whole situation was just wrong. But if you listen to the white woman, she said, I heard there were some reports by some of the neighbors saying that there was somebody selling drugs in the park. And so all it takes is like the childhood telephone game. You put one message out there, and next thing you know, when it gets around to another person, that's a whole different message. And again, I mean, we're kind of laughing at it, but this is the type of situations that can get people really in trouble. You can get locked up. You can get thrown up. I mean, who knows if that white woman would have called the cops on that sister? Then how would have that situation had just kind of gone left real quick? And it's unfortunate that we keep having assuming Annie's right out there that's always looking at it. The question is, where are the videos of black people doing that to white people? Can we get some of those videos? That's the part I'm looking for. I want Disturbing Daryl or something to come through and talk about what white people are doing and what you building in the neighborhood, man. What you doing here? Have Disturbing Daryl go up to the Asian people and say, okay, this is your market, this is our community. Who gave you permit to open up your corner store here in our neighborhood? I mean, I want something different because this is absolutely ridiculous.
Again, I ain't in town. Roll up on me, see what happened. Letting y'all know. Roll up on me and see what happened. Folks, back to our Roll Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in black-owned businesses, the black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
Deion Sanders went off, let me see if I can find it. Deion Sanders went off in the news conference complaining about the media not giving HBCUs enough media attention. This is what the Undefeated posted. Listen.
Not only do you expect us to win, but we expect to win. We're the only team in the country that people expect in the first year to win it all. I agree with that. The expectations are high. You brought in that level of expectation there. What have you learned? This is a broader question. What have you learned about black college football? I know you went to Florida State and FAMU, you was right there, but now, day to day, you're in the trenches.
In the trenches, we need to do better in all fronts, every front, not only on the field, but off the field. That's where it starts. In the last 5 years, we've only had 12 guys get drafted in the NFL. So if I go around each table, we have 12 in the SWAC now. If I go around each table, I'm pretty sure, even if we just took the 2 at each table, what's that? Do your math.
24.
24. So that means 24 kids should be getting drafted. So what's the problem? So that means exposure has to play a part. So if we have at least 2 from each team to get drafted, that means we're not getting the right exposure. So that's on y'all, and that's on us. Not y'all in person, but that's on ESPN. We have TV1 and we have BT. Where they at? But we black, we keep it at 100. Where they at? I got time. I got time.
We work with
ESPN. You work for ESPN, and thank God we're not on ESPN 14 like we were. Now we're on ESPN and ESPN 2, which we're going to be for the Orange Blossom Classic, and we're thankful. But we're not going to settle with that. We have a wonderful commissioner of the SWAC, and he's doing some wonderful things to give us those platforms. So if everyone has at least 2 guys that can go pro, what's the problem? Exposure. We got to do a better job at that.
You called out TV1 and BET. Well, TV1's black-owned, BET is not owned by Viacom CBS. Got to get your Ben. Deion speaking truth.
Absolutely speaking the truth. I mean, and then I also, not just the truth about the exposure and the coverage and how difficult it is to even see an HBCU game. Shout out to I think what he mentioned, ESPN2 is like the only channel I can catch a Bethune-Cookman University game on sometimes. And I agree with him. But also the fact that he's bringing light to this and pressing the media issue, like Mustafa said, this is really a win for HBCUs because we need to be sending our top talent to schools who know how to treat our top talent like they are.
Teresa, when he says we got to do better, what he's also saying, the expectation of the HBCUs has to be great as well, and that is how they market their players and things along those lines.
I agree. And, you know, I think with the win with the NCAA and taking care of their players financially and ensuring that they not only get the sponsorship that they deserve, but they can at least begin to not struggle as they are beginning to practice. So I think that is a continued conversation he is bringing up, and I think he's at the right place to do it.
Mustafa.
Brother Sanders understands how to increase value. He did it in his own career. You know, with many of the things that he did, he was a phenomenal player, but he also understood that the marketing of that phenomenalness was important as well, and now he's translating that to his leadership in the SWAC, and trying to make sure that people are actually honoring the players that are there along with the schools.
All right, then. Well, folks, good luck with it. I just sent Deion the text. Hey, Deion, we'll hook you up. TV1 ain't got no news. BET ain't got no news. But you can come Roland Martin Unfiltered. So I literally just sent him a text. That still should be his number, but it's all good because I got his fiance's number too. So I just sent her a text. See, y'all need to understand something. All y'all young-ass journalists who don't know a damn thing, never, ever ignore the spouse or the future spouse. Because, see, Denzel ain't carrying a cell phone. So I called Paulette. See, some of y'all gonna learn. Some of y'all gonna learn how real journalists roll. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals agrees to review a heavily argued illegal voting conviction. Crystal Mason faces 5 years in prison for casting a provisional ballot in the 2016 election. Now, at the time, she was on supervised release for a federal conviction and did not see her name on the voter roll. Mason submitted a provisional ballot at the advice of a poll worker, not knowing she was ineligible to vote. Now, although Mason has claimed she unknowingly voted illegally, prosecutors convicted her of a second-degree state felony. Now, keep in mind, this case is similar to Hervis Rogers, who was arrested and charged last week in Texas with 2 counts of illegal voting. Rogers cast ballots while on parole. He said he also wasn't aware. Now, attorney generals from Connecticut, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, Nevada, Oregon, and the District of Columbia released a joint statement regarding Rogers' arrest. Now, this is what they say: the unwarranted criminalization of Hervis Rogers' error is a grave miscarriage of justice. By casting his ballot in the 2020 primary, Hervis Rogers was simply attempting to fulfill his civic duty. Now he's potentially facing decades in prison. The prosecution is a clear attempt to intimidate voters, deter participation, and stoke fears of fictitious voter fraud. Texas is disguising voter suppression as election security and disenfranchising millions in the process. The voting system needs reform, not restrictions, and we stand with all the champions of justice in Texas, including the state's House Democrats, in fighting for fair and accessible elections. We will continue to do everything in our power to protect and expand voting rights throughout the nation. Now, Crystal Mason, her attorney, Kim Cole, join us right now. I'm glad to have both of you back on the show. So what's the status of the case, Kim? Where does this stand right now?
So obviously, as you mentioned previously, Crystal's appeal has been filed with the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. The state has filed their response to our appeal, and we are currently finalizing our reply to their response. And as soon as that is in, then it's in the court's hands. They will review it and they will make a decision as to whether or not Crystal will have to serve 5 years in prison, or they will send it back to the lower court. They can reverse it, they can uphold it.
So for folks, again, who are unfamiliar with the case, just walk people through what happened, because 2 things were going on. First of all, Crystal was previously in prison on the federal level, but this is a state issue. And so explain to folks so they understand what's going on here.
Okay, so Crystal was, she pled guilty to a federal charge related to her tax preparation business. So she pled guilty to that charge, the federal charge, and served out her sentence. She was sentenced to 5 years. She served out that sentence, and then she got out and thought she was performing her civic duty and went to vote. However, apparently her name was not on the voter registration rolls, and they ended up charging her. And actually, she didn't actually vote. She filled out a provisional ballot because her name was not on the list of registered voters there at her normal polling place. So she filled out a provisional ballot, went on about her business. A few months later, she was arrested for illegally voting. And no one there at the polling place, no one in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, no one advised her that she was not eligible to vote. She was on supervised release from her federal sentence, and so she had served all of her prison time. However, she had a period of 3 years of supervised release, and she was still on that within that 3-year period. And no one ever told her that that would render her ineligible to vote. So she had no clue that she couldn't vote the day that she cast her provisional ballot. And she was tried, convicted, and sentenced to 5 years in prison. As a result of that, they violated her federal sentence and sent her back to prison for an additional 10 months, and also added some additional time of supervised release to her sentence. So she has already done time for this particular, for voting, and that's on the federal side.
Crystal, the amount of time, money, and resources that Texas is expending on this is ridiculous. At your trial, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't your parole officer say you weren't told you couldn't vote?
The supervised release officer, my supervised release officer supervisor testified on the stand that no, we never told her she couldn't vote. No, she never signed anything. There was no paperwork in place, and yet I was still found guilty of illegally voting and sentenced to 5 years.
So no one told you, but you're supposed to just somehow know just because?
Correct. Correct. So how do I know I'm doing something wrong if I was never informed?
Do you believe that Texas is trying to make an example out of you in order to intimidate others?
Definitely, definitely. And when they sent me back to prison right before, I think it was an election going on in September, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
This is...
Roland?
Yeah, Kim, go ahead.
They even said in her trial, the district attorney even said, Your Honor, let's send a message and please sentence her to a stern prison sentence, to send a message. So yes, they're trying to make an example out of her. They don't want people that look like Crystal to vote, period.
This is, I mean, it's just incredible. Also, Crystal, when you look at other cases where people mistakenly voted and they were like, okay, you know what? They were let off real easy, but they happen not to look like you.
Yes, I see that all the time. I think I just seen one today where you go to the Capitol, you commit a crime, and they give you 8 months in federal prison, and yet the act that you committed was so outrageous. And here I am, didn't even vote, but I'm charged with illegally voting. And I'm fighting. I've been fighting for 4.5 years, waking up every day, not knowing if I'm going back to prison over illegally voting, and I never voted.
This is, I mean, it's just incredible that this thing is still ongoing, and it just makes no sense. Any idea, Kim, when the Court of Appeals is going to issue their ruling?
None whatsoever. It took them several months to even agree to a discretionary review of her case. So it could be anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. It just depends on the court and when they decide to make their ruling. And so we have no clue, but as soon as we file our reply, which we will file this week, it's in their hands, and they will make the determination as to whether or not this 5-year prison sentence will be upheld.
Man, just unbelievable. Crystal, I mean, you're sort of left in limbo because, you know, before, you know, you were getting your life together, you were trying to live, and all of a sudden it got upended. You went back to prison. Now you're out. Now you may go back. I mean, that has to be nerve-wracking.
Roland, it is. But what I did is I started an organization, Crystal Mason, to fight against voter suppression. So what I do now is I go out and I encourage people on how important it is to vote and try to educate them if they're eligible to vote now. And what I said was I'm going to keep moving forward, trusting God that things are going to work out in my favor, and I'm going to keep living and just trusting God through this process. And I met Harvest, and this is a 62-year-old man that been on parole for a very long time and was giving a voter's registration card. And this man did not mean to do anything wrong. He cried like a baby, like, I can't believe that I'm in this position, you know, and this is just so heartbreaking because it reminds me of when I first started this journey. So I'm just glad that he has support, and I just pray that everything works out in his favor as well.
All right, then. Any final words, Kim?
Certainly, Roland. This Crystal's conviction, the new charges against Mr. Hervis Rogers, all of this new legislation that's been presented is all clearly efforts to intimidate voters, to suppress votes. They don't want people who look like Crystal, people who look like Hervis, people who look like me and you. They don't want us to vote. And that's what all of this is about, not just in Texas, but all across the country. And that's why I am very proud of the Texas Democrats for standing up and holding up this egregious supposedly voter integrity, which essentially is voter suppression laws that they are trying to pass here in Texas. We have got to stand behind them. We've got to stand behind Crystal. We've got to stand behind Hervis Rogers, because they are actually trying to send a 62-year-old man to prison for up to 20 years, which could essentially be a death sentence for him. So we've got to stand behind them and get these egregious charges dropped against him, as well as overturn Crystal's conviction.
All right, then. And also, I think before there was a GoFundMe. Is that for Crystal? Is that still active?
Yes, it's Justice, the number 4, Crystal Mason.
Justice, the number 4, Crystal Mason. All right, folks, be sure to pop that into GoFundMe. Kim, Crystal, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
Folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
The story out of Colorado, where a cop actually is facing charges because of his actions. This is in Aurora, Colorado. Folks, John Harbert is facing attempted first-degree assault, second-degree assault, oppression, felony menacing, and first-degree official misconduct for his role in the brutal arrest of Kyle Vincent. His partner officer, Francine Martinez, is charged with failing to intervene and report the use of force by a peace officer. Harbert and Martinez were responding to a trespassing complaint when they saw 3 men sitting on a curb. Officers identified each person had felony warrants. 2 of them ran away before Vincent was violently taken into custody. Body cam footage shows Harbert choking Vincent for nearly 40 seconds as blood streams down his face. Vincent was taken to a hospital for his injuries. The cut on his head required stitches. Harbert and Martinez have been released on bail. Now, if you remember, Aurora is the same city where 23-year-old Elijah McClain was killed after being put in a chokehold by police in 2019. Here's the rest of that video.
No, I don't. I don't have to stop fighting. Bro, I don't have no warrant. You guys have the wrong guy. I don't have a warrant, bro. Stop fighting. I don't have a warrant. Stop fighting. Help, help, help. I don't have a warrant, bro. Bro, I don't have no fucking warrant, bro. Get on your face. Bro, I don't. Get on your face. I don't have a warrant, dude. Get on your face. Okay, get on your face now. Okay, bro. Get on your face. Okay, bro. Okay. Get on your face. You're killing me. On your face. You're killing me, bro. On your face. You're killing me. Get on your face. You're roll over on your face. You're killing me. Turn over. You're killing me. Get on your face. You're killing me. You're killing me. Get on your face. I don't have a warrant, bro. On your face. I don't have a warrant. Get over on your face. Okay, dude. I'm just in front of your face. On your face. I don't have a warrant, bro. Get on your face. I don't have a warrant. I don't have no warrant. No. Get on your face. No. I can't go to jail for something I didn't do. Turn over. No.
Folks, that body cam footage goes on for almost another 8 minutes. That's the but this is why you got to change your law. This is why you have to say that when another officer fails to intervene, they can be charged. I hope each one of these cops is convicted of their heinous actions, because that's the sheer stupidity that we see by officers. And the man is yelling, "I don't have any warrants." That, folks, is, I'm telling you, this is why you got to change those contracts. This is why these mayors and these city councils should have absolutely zero tolerance when it comes to this. And they should say, if you are an officer and you see another cop doing wrong, your behind is going to be in trouble. If you don't turn your body camera footage on, as I've been saying for a long time, automatic firing. If you lie on a police report, automatic firing. You're not going to change what happens unless you start sending these thugs with badges and guns to prison, and until you hit their pocketbooks. And we also have retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey, who has been on our show many times, who said there are no doubt Klansmen who are serving in police departments, and she said it's point blank. And that's the thing that we just got to just be honest about and deal with. And so we'll be following that story, folks, to see what happens next. Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. John, before I let you go, I do want to get your thoughts on Simone Biles, her decision to stop performing, citing mental health. You've got a lot of folks upset, especially a lot of these white conservative men angry, calling her a traitor. The Texas Deputy Attorney General blasted her, and she's a Texan. But clearly these people don't understand that what she said was, if you're going up in the air and if your mind is not into it, you could literally kill yourself with the kind of acrobatic moves that she makes.
Absolutely right. Break your neck. But see, you have to realize that she's not just a Texan, she's a black Texan. So, that gives no credibility to her at all. This is the things that we're fighting for now, fighting against right now. But yet still relative to the complexity of her activities, the general public don't know. All they know is that here's a young girl, regardless of her health, her mental health, or any other health that she might have, that doesn't even stand a chance to be reconciled in their minds and say, well, the young lady had a mental issue or the young lady had a physical issue. It doesn't matter, just the mere fact that she's a black individual that didn't meet their dreams and their expectations. America sometimes remind me of the mom and dad at the Pop Warner Little League baseball game, where they just so excited they want to be on the sidelines fighting the referees and fighting everybody opposed to letting their kids get out there and play. They want to run, and this is not 1968. This is 2021. It's a new day. And they're going to have to realize that what they're doing in the International Olympic Committee and those conservatives out there, they're tearing the Olympics apart, because pretty soon they're going to have to start getting their kids ready to send their kids out to train in the rain, send their kids to shovel snow so they can get out there to train to represent America. Because black people are getting to the point where they're tired of going in there, like going to the war. We go to the war, and when we come home from the war, it's worse for black people as it was before they went to the war. When you go to the Olympic Games, you see this is the largest nation in the world, Fortune 500. I've seen smaller countries, their athletes go to the Olympic Games, they come back, they get them a house, they get them a job, they get them something. Many athletes down the line, we have a track record that has gone to the games, represented this country violently, vehemently, and then at the same time, they come home, man, they don't even have a job. We go to Europe and represent America for 3 months out of the year during the summer. We get back, they think that somebody held up our bills and said, oh, cancel them bills because they're representing America. No, when you get home, them bills are staring you in the face. There's no help for you. And then when you cry about it or when you raise hell about it, then they want to tell you running the pity game. You running the black game. Ain't no pity game, ain't no black game. It's reality. It's a double standard that needs to stop. And every black man, every black woman, every child should raise their voice about it and let them know enough is enough, and it's time to step up. Stop being so meek and so mild. Step up in their face and let them know that I'm not going to put up with this shit no more.
All right, John Carlos. Folks, you can get his collection at activelyblack.com. That's ACTIVELY black.com. John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Roland. Have a great day. God bless.
Folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in black-owned businesses, the black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
Joining us right now here in Georgetown, Texas, Reverend Dr. William Barber, of course, co-convener, Repairs of the Breach, and also with the Poor People's Campaign. Reverend Barber, glad to have you here. It is I was showing people with the fan. I told them, I said, I play golf in this. I'm used to this stuff, so I came prepared.
Yeah, it's hot in Texas, but it's also hot politically, brother. And I'm telling you, now Roland is the cause of all this junk. He wakes me up at night, Doc, we ought to do this, and we think about it. But in reality, isn't it ironic, Roland, that the same day we have the first hearing on the physical violent insurrection on January the 6th, we're here tonight preparing to march tomorrow to challenge the political insurrection and the policy insurrection that's going on all over this country, where these extremists who've hijacked the Republican Party and Democrats, to some of them that joined them, want to hold on to the filibuster, want to block the true John Lewis bill, which is the For the People Act, all of the position, want to block the coming, because it's not been written yet, Voting Rights Restoration Act. And then earlier, they blocked $15 minimum wage, impacting 32 million people, 40% of black people. And now they want to even hurt immigrants. Let me tell you, the people behind us, they are fired up, brother. We actually are being overrun. We had to stop accepting people for the march because of COVID. So what people are doing is they're going to march legs, and then we're going to the Capitol on Saturday. And this march is saying, like Selma did, we have to have federal action. And black folk are saying it, white people are saying it, brown, Asian, native, poor people, even business people with a conscience, gay folk, all are saying, no. This is what we have to do in this moment. And then, lastly, it's a part of our season, a month long of actions. We were in Arizona yesterday, 27 states in almost 40 some odd Senate offices, Democrat and Republican. We had people sitting in, demanding action. And then next Monday, after Austin on Saturday, clergy and low-wage workers are coming to D.C. for direct action. We're not playing, brother. And if it doesn't happen by the 6th, We win if it does. If we don't, it intensifies.
I talked to Melanie Campbell, Black women. They're going to have another protest taking place on Thursday in the nation's capital. We're going to be live streaming that event as well. And Reverend Barber, the thing that I keep explaining to our audience is that for the people who say protest doesn't matter, these things don't work. Look, you just had Senator Mark Warner out of Virginia finally come out and say he believed in a narrow ending of the filibuster specifically for voting rights. All of these things, the constant pressure, not just on those senators, but also on this White House to get President Biden moving, because the reality is Vice President Kamala Harris and or Vice President Joe Biden should be in Texas, should have come to Texas. You got to go where the people are, what the problem is, as opposed to, just sort of giving nice speeches. No. You got to mobilize and organize your people.
Right. And you got to show in this moment, this is James Crow Esquire. It's not just Jim Crow. Don't let the Republicans get away with just being a binary issue, just black or white. It is race now. Don't ever suppress race. But the racial piece of it also has collateral damage. And then the other thing, I hope to meet with, I got a word about meeting with the vice presidents and some clergy next week. But here's the thing. We have to have federal action. We have to stand strong. If we go in compromising, you're going to get worse. You got to stand strong. Secondly, we've got to say, you're right, to the president, come to Texas and talk to this diverse group. Come to Arizona. Go to West Virginia. You got people that voted for you there. And then go to the well of the Congress, just like LBJ did, and say you cannot fix physical infrastructure while you're letting people destroy the infrastructure of the democracy. It's both and, it's not either or. And we don't need to play the either or game. This is too serious. We need to have people come together. And then we got to connect the voting rights to economic justice and the economic prosperity of the country. A brother was just telling me from Methodist Church, I preached for him Sunday. And he said, Bob, we got to let these folk know. When we say pass voting rights, stop suppressing the vote, pass 15, he said, let them know. Those of y'all that are fighting 15, don't you know that it's economically insane to do that? If we had 15 right now, 32 million people would be raised out of poverty, $380-some billion would be pumped into the economy right now. But because of the filibuster, you can't get passage on the voting rights, passage on the 40 People's Act, or passage on 15, or even protecting our immigrant brothers and sisters. This is a moment, I call it a cosmic moment, that can have international impact. If we keep retrogressing, now I'm going to go Bible on you for your audience. The Bible says only a dog returns to his vomit. Every time we go backwards, we go backwards, we go backward, we go a little far and go backwards. The Bible says that's like a dog returning to vomit. We've got to stop to returning to the vomit of racism and suppression and economic injustice and decide to go forward to the good food and the good prosperity of justice for all people.
And the thing that what I keep telling the folks, the reason you have to link the voting issue with policy, because that's how you get policy. If you lay out all the things that Republicans have blocked in this state, what they're blocking in other states, what they're blocking in Washington, D.C., you cannot say, I want to march. But it's like I want to march on an issue, but then not realize public policy is involved. I said on my show last week, to every white person who was out in the streets demanding justice for George Floyd, where you at?
Got to come now.
You can't just last year. Last year was last year.
That's right.
Now, where are you marching for the George Floyd Justice Act? Where are you marching for? All of this
climate, LGBTQ. You got to get in, because as you said, Roland, the voting is the bridge to progressive policies. So if you build bridges for infrastructure, but then you undermine the bridge of democracy, you cut off the bridge that gives us the public policy. And you got to recognize the same folk, for instance, in Texas, that wouldn't fix the utility grid are the same folk blocking voting rights. Same folk that block living wage, block health care, blocking voting rights. Make the connect. Same people that come after the LGBT community are the same people that are going after voting. 56 million people in the last election used the kind of voting laws they are trying to take away from. I don't know if people get that. We're not talking about folk trying to block new laws. They're trying to retrogress what's already on the books. And that ought to be disturbing to all of us. So we need and I like what you said about Melanie. We ain't got to all be under the same banner. This needs to be a movement. Get into battle.
Right.
You ain't got to get permission.
You have folks here who in Georgetown are going to be marching to Austin, taking place on Saturday. You got the black women who are doing their thing, the mass action in Thursday. You should have groups in West Virginia doing their thing. You should have people in Arizona doing their thing. You should have people in Connecticut saying to Chris Coons, people in Delaware doing their thing. It's not about getting permission. I've been saying to all different groups who went to the White House, NAACP, Derek Johnson, same thing. How are you taking your chapters? Mark Morial, National Urban League, how are you taking your chapters? Reverend Sharpton, National Action Network, how are you taking your chapters? You don't have to, if you all of a sudden, every day, they're seeing here and here and here and here. The same thing Black Lives Matter did when you had folks who weren't even affiliated with the people who created Black Lives Matter, but they said we can do something ourselves.
And the difference this time is this, for instance, if you're white or otherwise, you don't have to be altruistic. This is not about you helping black folk. They're going to take your democracy.
Right. First of all, there was a county clerk in 2012 who admitted that she moved an early voting location off of a college campus because they were voting. Too many of the old young folks, white folks, were voting Democrat.
That's right.
Moved it to a way out place with a small parking lot, hard to get to. They moved from early voting locations in North Carolina. I was on the CBC panel, and it was Shirley Iafo, Christian Clark, Vanita Gupta, the guy who was the Secretary of State in California. I said, y'all have got to challenge white folks to say, hey, this ain't just us. They don't like tech. And here in Texas, I'm still registered here. They are mad. They've been getting their butts kicked in the suburbs of, because Georgetown, folks, everybody who's watching, Georgetown is a suburb of Austin. Austin is Travis County. This is Williamson County. In Houston, it's Harris County. Dallas County. San Antonio, Bexar County. They've been losing in the suburbs. That's what they're trying to stop.
Even though in Georgetown 30 years ago, in the 1930s, the first successful case against the Ku Klux Klan happened in Georgetown when a white woman stood up. So my point is, we need everybody, brother. And what I'd like to do, I hope we can do it as the march goes on. I want to come on one evening and you and I just read the For the People's Act. Because I think most of our people don't know.
Right.
And I'm going to say this to all groups, civil rights. Don't you go in those places and compromise with Manchin and let him say, well, I'll support the Voting Rights Act, but I'm not for it. And you say, well,
the John
that's good.
Lewis Act.
Yeah. The hell with that. Because first of all, ain't no John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It hadn't been written. That's the truth. Second of all, the John Lewis Act is the act, the For the People's Act. He wrote that.
Right.
Okay. Thirdly, the Voting Rights Act won't fix this because these bills are passed. You cannot retrogressively pre-clear. Secondly, thirdly, fourthly, if you pass the For the People's Act, everything they're doing in these state colleges becomes illegal immediately. So we don't need no. And plus, he signed to say he would support the For the People's Act. Joe Manchin signed it, but he signed it when McConnell was majority leader.
Right.
Because he knew it wouldn't come to the floor. He ran on it in his state. So did Kristen. I'm going to tell it all. I'm sorry. Kristen Sinema said she would support it when she was running. She said she would support 15. Manchin never said he was against 15 while he was running because he knew if he'd have said it in the primaries, the Democratic challengers would have whooped him. He waited until afterwards. And after Warnock and our brother from
John
Ossoff won, running on For the People's Act, running on voting rights, running on liberty, he waited until they got a majority, and then all of a sudden, now he's not for it. Don't let these folk play game, and don't go in a room and cut a deal. That, well, we won the Voting Rights Act. If we don't win this For the People's Act right now, every bill that goes in place, you won't be able to undo it. You can't litigate out of this. You can't mobilize.
It. Because it is going to have, look, what they're doing by trying to cut drastically the drop box ballot.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do with matching signatures. They are, and the ability to be able to overturn election results. This is by design. This is all about Donald Trump complaining about losing, even in the state that he won. They are trying, and what I also keep trying to tell people, this is not about presidential politics. This impacts every single election, school board, city council, county commissioner, state rep, state senate, governors, all of these races, water district. If it's an elected position, DA as well, that's why people have to recognize We ain't playing games with this.
And it's about fundamental, as you say all the time, power. These folk are wanting blatant power. They see the demographic shifting. They know the South is really not red. It's suppressed and unorganized. They know that, and many of these other places. So they see the demographic shifting. They want to control the power. And lastly, this is about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Why is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce celebrating Manchin and Sinema and the Republicans? Because they don't want expanded votes, because they know that undercuts their ability to control elected officials that can then pass tax policies and other policies that fill their pockets. And so if you're in an organization, and even if you had conversations with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, you got to cut ties. You got to cut ties. Because either you're on the side of, you're going to treat corporations like people and people like things, or people like people and corporations like things. That's why for instance, Jeff Bezos did something last year. I'm going to tell on him. On July 1st, he said, I'm going to give $10 million to a certain social justice organization, which is no money for him. On the next day, the 3rd of July, he cut all of the pay for his workers. The pay that they were getting because of COVID. We cannot let the corporate interests have more power than the power of people. 80% of Americans want this. Do you know in that For the People's Act, it says a president must show his tax returns? And so we know. It says that early voting, same-day registration are all law. It says that you cannot change a precinct without giving 7-day notice. That's just, we're going to talk through it.
Right.
But the point is, brothers and sisters, this is not a time for capitulation, and any compromise in this moment is capitulation and allowing the forces that win that have no concern for us. Lastly, if you're going to do infrastructure, do what Lyndon Baines Johnson did. He used to tell folk, you don't vote with me, you don't get no money.
Right.
You don't vote for me, you don't get no money. And people are saying, well, you know, if we just get this now, we can get this later. We're going to be in the midterm soon.
And here's the whole deal. Biden, you ain't getting Republican votes.
No.
Okay, this whole deal, I think I can pick up, this Democrats been trying to get that Republican suburban white woman for the last umpteen elections. You ain't getting them. What you can,
not this group of Republicans.
What you can turn out, you could turn out more black people, more Latinos,
that's right.
More young people. You could turn out
and
more
poor
women.
Folk.
And poor
because
folk,
55% of poor and low-wealth people voted for Biden-Harris. That never happened before. But it's because he said living wage 15. And see, there's a shifting happening, but the politics is rooted in this is not the Eric Derrickerson Republican that came over with Lyndon Baines Johnson, who Lyndon Baines gave the first pen when he signed the Voting Rights Act. No, this is an extremist group of folk that have hijacked the Republican Party. They are trying to put the hopes and dreams of the Southern strategy into law. This is a political insurrection. January 6th was a physical insurrection. This is the political, this is the insurrection.
Right.
Politically. And they are weaponizing policy.
They couldn't get what they want on January 6th.
Exactly.
So then they're doing this.
And they're weaponizing the filibuster like never before. And everybody in this democracy better stand up and stand up. In fact, Reverend Jackson and I and some others I was talking to, a lot of people today, they said, you know what? We ought to support whatever happens on the 28th. And then we ought to say, but if you can't get there, every state, you need to be marching on your capital.
Yeah.
In
fact, I have long said, y'all, I appreciate August 28th. I said, but if you mobilize in multiple states, you're going to have more people participating.
As I told folk, I'm supporting everybody trying to do right. But I do know in 1963, see, I was born 2 days after the March on Washington. My dad used to tell me the story. Because they said I was supposed to be born on the 28th. My mama went into labor, and I said, hold up. Let's see what happened. And my daddy said, I went to the other marches. He didn't go to 28th because he was waiting for me. But he always reminded me, Bob, Billy, that's what he called me, Billy. Don't y'all call me that. That's what he called me, Billy. He said, listen, nobody came to March on Washington to hear Dr. King speak. That wasn't the purpose. They were mobilizing, and Dr. King said, go back to Alabama, go back to Mississippi. But he said also why it happened, because it was between Birmingham activism, Mississippi activism, then Freedom Summer followed. But on that day, that week, there were more than 200 actions in 200 cities. Lawson, who was one of King's main supporters, was in jail.
James Lawson.
He was in jail in Louisiana. Jesse was in jail in Greensboro. That's what was happening. Diane Nash was in Selma planning. So, Lord, y'all, it's not all of us coming under one banner.
Right.
I support everybody that's doing everything, but we got to do a whole lot of a lot to push what needs to happen in this moment.
All right, Reverend Dr. William Barber, we appreciate it. We're going to be live streaming the march. It's taking place beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So as they walk in, we'll be live streaming. Come on, you can come around. Beto, come on over. So that'll be happening. And then, of course, we'll be there Saturday as well. So, because, look, I told you when we talked, we were going to be here because we got to have media driving this message out because, you know, there are a few local cameras here. Everybody watching. CNN not here, MSNBC not here. They might be here Saturday, but this is the stuff that has to be getting out constantly.
Got to get out constantly. Thank you so much, Roland.
It, Frank.
And look, I'm going to give you your flyer, your fan from Ghana back till tomorrow.
I got 4 of them, so I have
one for you.
Tomorrow. I have one for you.
Get some spray on this for Beto. You know we're trying to be COVID safe. Who got some spray real quick?
Just get some spray. Beto O'Rourke is going to step over. He has been one of the folks involved in the planning of this as well. And so we certainly,
You know, we got this thing. The Lord works in the spirits.
Right.
Prepare people for other things. So, like, if he had got elected, he couldn't march with us because we know in the Poor People's Campaign, we don't let elected officials come on. Democrat or Republican, that undercuts the moral argument. They say it's partisan. But he didn't. I don't know what God is planning. But for right now, in this season, he's free.
Right.
And so we're so glad to have this
brother. He could be playing a gubernatorial matchup.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to leave that alone.
Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Reecie mentioned her Piers Morgan video. So let me do this here. Let me give. No. Let me give everybody. I'm giving y'all 30 seconds. If y'all have kids in the room and y'all don't want them to hear this, I'm giving y'all warning right now. I appreciate y'all who watch the show with your kids. Right now is the HBO Showtime version of Roland Martin Unfiltered. So. I got to do this here, and then, I can't do this. So I've given y'all ample warning. So Piers Morgan has some words for Simone Biles, and let's say Reecie was not feeling white supremacist Piers Morgan and what he had to say. So if y'all don't like cuss words, mute the show right now. Because y'all about to hear way more than what you heard at that Ross in Mississippi. Everybody has been warned. Everybody's been warned. Here comes the wrath of Reecie.
Piers Morgan, shut the fuck up. I repeat, shut your raggedy ass, mediocre shrimp dick, incel, white supremacist, motherfucking blob, face jar, mayonnaise spoiled in a motherfucking 90-degree weather looking ass up. We are fucking sick of your stupid ass opinions. We don't want to motherfucking hear you, bitch. Keep Simone Biles' name out your raggedy motherfucking mouth. I don't know why you're so fucking triggered by black women that are far superior to you, far more accomplished than you. But you need to take that up with your motherfucking therapist and leave your funky ass off the motherfucking internet, bitch. You should take some cues from these black women on mental health and go seek motherfucking help, bitch, because clearly you fucking need it. We're tired of you. We don't want to fucking hear you, bitch. Keep your opinions to yourself, bitch. All you fucking do is cloud chase off of more fucking accomplished black women. And the only motherfuckers that agree with you are racist, sorry, sack of shit degenerates, just like you're a punk ass bitch. I know that this isn't going to change your opinion, but what I do want you to know is on behalf of Black America, fuck you, bitch. We don't respect you. We don't want to motherfucking hear about you. And we're going to call your motherfucking ass out because you ain't shit. You ain't never going to be shit. And if nobody told you today, you are a worthless sack of shit. Shut the fuck up.
Period.
I look at the look on Faraji's face. I didn't know how to respond, so I had to call somebody. Just go ahead and bring him up, please. J. Anthony Brown. Jay, make sure you're not. Jay, go ahead, Jay. Jay, you're on mute. Get off mute, Jay. Jay, you on mute? Okay, y'all, make sure.
Now we can hear you.
Guys, turn my audio. Don't turn my audio down. Damn.
Hello.
Okay, so there you go, J. Anthony Brown.
Reecie.
J. Anthony Brown, take it away.
Reecie.
Yeah.
Can she hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Reecie,
yeah. She can hear you. She can hear you.
From one cusser to another cusser, you use way too many bitches. Way too many. You know, I mean, I'm ashamed of how many bitches you put in that sentence. You know, you didn't go with dickhead. You didn't go with fish face fucker. I mean, there's so many ways, and I want you to do your homework on your cussing, okay? Because I know you're fired up, but the next time bitch should not be used that much. No way. I'm gonna allow you to do. I'm gonna allow you to do. In a rant like that, I'm gonna give you maybe 6 bitches, okay? 6, 7 is your limit, Reecie. After that, we want to go with dick face, fuck, face. Go with the face, dick face, fuck face. You didn't use way enough assholes. I mean, way. You were just short on your assholes that you could have gone with.
Yeah. I got it.
Jay, you did a show. Jay, where you said, man, I don't know who this woman is. I think it was Clay K. You're like, I don't know who this woman is. But that's the most cussing.
I've heard you on Clay Kane's show, and I don't know who. I called Roland. I said, I don't know who this woman is, but I've never heard anybody that knowledgeable that could cuss that much. You are a person of my heart. I love you. I really do. I never met you in my life, but like I said, from now on, you can't use that many bitches. You just are not allowed. In the annals of cussing, you get 6 to 7 bitches, and then we move on, okay?
Got it. I will take that under advisement. I'm more creative when I talk about women because I don't use the B word for woman. But for peers, I wasn't tethered by the B word. But now I know next time.
In cursing a man, you can call a man a bitch and not be offensive. No. You are absolutely right. Don't apologize. No, because I just thought you were heavy, really heavy on bitch.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah. But I have a distinctive way of saying it that people enjoy. But I will call less bitches and more MFers. I did not use asshole, so that I should have used that one.
I mean,
but I did get male face in there.
Ass, bitch, motherfucker, punk bitch. You know this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need you to remix the video for me.
Yeah.
Remix it.
Yeah.
Let's send it to Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. It was
Thank you. It's an honor. I'm so honored. That's the best compliment I can get.
Well, I've been trying to get Jay on Thursday. He's been real busy the last 3 weeks, and he texted me. He said, "I can come on now." I said, "Man, y'all got to get him on." So, Reecie, that was my surprise for you, Reecie, having Jay Anthony Brown give you some lessons on cussing.
Love you, man.
The White House was mad.
All right, Jay.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right,
Roland.
All right, Jay.
Later, man.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We were one of the first national outlets that gave voice to folks like Jasmine Koenig, who was trying to get the attention about white Democratic donor Ed Buck, who would invite gay black men to his home and then feed them drugs. Jamel Moore was the first young man, 2017, died in Ed Buck's apartment, but media, other folks did not want to pay attention, so he continued. Then Timothy Dean died in 2019. And so it was finally with that where the attention then began, that got picked up. Jackie Lacey, who was then the DA in L.A., would not prosecute Ed Buck, was moving way too slow. Well, he was indicted on the federal level. Today, Ed Buck was found guilty of multiple crimes for the deaths of these two brothers in his West Hollywood apartment. He was accused, again, giving them drugs during sexual encounters. He was found guilty on 9 felony counts, including 2 counts of distribution of controlled substances resulting in death. Folks, the charges carry a mandatory minimum of 20 years in prison. That means the 66-year-old Ed Buck, who had given a ton of money to various Democratic candidates in California, he is going to spend the rest of his life in prison as a result for the death of Timothy Dean and Jamel Moore. Here's the deal. He had given more than $53,000 to Democratic candidates and to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee since 2008. It was after he was arrested that Democrats, several of them, began to give money back. Folks, y'all let me know if we could get Jasmine Koenig on the phone, or the mother of Jamel Moore. As I said, a lot of national media outlets did not cover this story. I put Jasmine on Tom Joyner Morning Show, on my TV One show as well, to get the attention. A lot of folks in various LGBTQ media organizations would not cover this story as well. But finally, justice for Timothy Dean and Jamel Moore, with Ed Buck being found guilty on 9 counts. Again, will spend the rest of his life in prison. This is important, Mustafa, because the attitude that existed, that also this was the defense that they put on, that basically these 2 black men, hey, didn't matter.
You know, Ed Buck hired Christopher Darden, another prominent black attorney in L.A., paid them lots of money. They tried to suggest these two men died of AIDS. And so the family was mystified with this. But the fact that Timothy Dean, a second man, died because authorities would not do anything about Jamel Moore's death, that is what is so shameful about this case.
Most definitely. You know, it's always interesting that our lives don't seem to have much value to folks. Sometimes not even to the folks that we have supported, and sometimes not even to our own communities, depending on, you know, what our particular affiliations might be or those types of things. You know, $53,000 for, you know, 3 men's lives who are now gone. We don't know if there were more. And of course, I know for this particular case, we're talking about 2 men who are a part of this, who lost their lives to this murderer, a mass murderer. So for me, I'm always real clear with folks. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or independent. If you do evil, if you do injustice, then you have to be called on it, and you have to be held accountable. And we just got to make sure that folks are willing to do that, who are in these elected positions, in these enforcement positions. And again, you know, thank you to you and the show for making sure that you put a national spotlight so that this individual was eventually brought to justice.
Here is one of the mothers speaking after the conviction of Ed Buck.
Hello, my name is Letitia Nixon. I'm Jamel Moore's mom. I want to say thank you to everybody that believed us. Thank you to everybody that reported correctly on my son, because my son was more than an escort, more than a prostitute, as many of you guys said. It's more than a movie or a documentary. This is my baby, my son, who is a human being, and he's loved by lots of people. But today is bittersweet. Today is the date that my son was murdered when he left my house 4 years ago. But we got victory today. We got victory in the West today. So I'm grateful and I'm happy. And thank you guys.
This, again, Teresa, folks, you know, this first brother, Jamel Moore, dies. Nothing. I mean, Ed Buck just continued, and it wasn't until Timothy Dean died and the pressures ratcheted up that then folks took action. But 2 black men had to die for them to do something.
Yeah, Ed Buck is, you know, an epitome of a serial rapist and murderer. Again, for him to either get away with his actions, and then we have to see another strong black woman giving thanks, you know, that justice was served. It's disgusting in itself. I mean, you know, praise to God for her strength. But again, this is an ongoing occurrence when it comes to justice for black people. It's not only, you know, we're getting shot down by cops, you know, for sometimes listening to their direction or getting understanding for their direction, or just for not saying anything. But then, you know, we then have to go into this case and see the evidence that is right before us. And it takes black media news outlets to put this information out there and continuously make sure that justice can get served. Because even, you know, Buck's financial records that was going to congressional elected officials who likely already knew his story way ahead of accepting those financial donations for their campaign. But then even for them to give it back but not do anything, you know, about it, you know, even when they did get elected, it's just horrible. And again, these are the track records when we start looking at those who want to represent individuals and people. That doesn't mean a specific type of society or a specific type of individual. That means representing all people. And so we definitely have to take a look at those who are in these higher positions. But again, Ed Buck found guilty. I'm glad he's found guilty, and I'm sure everybody else is, but how do we make sure that Ed Buck doesn't exist again?
This is also why it's important to understand who is the DA, Faraji, because Jasmine Koenig tweeted this out, and I had to retweet it. She said, Where is it? She said, "Dear Jackie Lacey, today Ed Buck, the man you said you didn't have enough evidence to prosecute, was found guilty of 9 counts in federal court. I'm too much of a lady to tell you what I really want to tell you, so I'll let this gift do the talking for me." Jasmine, black DA and Jackie Lacey, she literally said, not enough evidence to prosecute Ed Buck. Thank God the federal attorneys saw there was enough evidence, and he was convicted on 9 counts.
First and foremost, Ed Buck is a savage beast. I mean, just out of the fact of when you start to look at the nature of the crimes that he committed, you really understand that this man is way out of the realm of being a human being. But more importantly, like you just mentioned, I mean, why are we having the conversations like if the evidence is there, he can get prosecuted on a federal level, he should have gotten prosecuted much sooner and much quickly, where 2 black men didn't have to die. But I think something to Teresa's point that needs to be said. People knew the type of individual that Ed Buck was, and they still took his money. Politicians, political leaders. This is the same type of savagery we saw when Jeffrey Epstein was killed, that he was in those circles of influential people. He gave money, he advised people and counseled people, but people knew exactly the type of individual he was. And so it makes me go back to what we started this conversation with, Brother Roland, which is the moral resurrection that is needed in this country. This is not just about voting rights and dark money, but this comes down to how do you get human beings to be human beings? We're at this point now in our country's history where you can deal and go to business with individuals who are just spiritually and morally bankrupt, but you still feel like they're good citizens. And some people, in the eyes of some citizens, they might say, oh, he's a Democratic donor. He's for the people. He's good, because they even classified him as an activist, an advocate. Can you believe that? And then let's just look at the fact that Christopher Darden, this is the same Chris Darden, folks, that was a part of the O.J. Simpson trial. Okay? But Chris Darden decided to take on the case. A black man, 2 black men taking on a case of a crazy-ass white man that has sexually assaulted and killed 2 other black men, and they're defending him. So when we're talking about all
you know what? Okay. So here's my whole deal. The reality is this here. The Constitution says that everybody's entitled to a defense. Fine. They want to represent him. Guess what? They lost. They got their asses kicked. Now, the check cleared, but so here's my whole deal. People can get anybody to represent them, and so there are defense attorneys. This is what they do. But the bottom line is they lost. Their arguments had no merit whatsoever. The jury found Ed Buck guilty. Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.